Good morning. Good afternoon, wherever you might be. Welcome. Welcome to Trust and Be Brave live for, what is it? What's the date? Wednesday the 13th, I think. Oh, the 14th. I'm a little behind. Um, how is everybody doing? If you'd be so kind, if you're here, if you would just say hi in the comments. I would love to know that you're here. Um, this is like a really, it's like a really major topic today, right? Um, Dealing with self doubt and imposter syndrome. Um, of of all of the comments that I get over the course of time, the most prevalent when I ask, what do you want me to address? What's plaguing you? What's up? What's standing in your way? What's your obstacle? Imposter syndrome, self doubt. That's probably the number one thing, um, and it's why I kind of built a coaching business around encouragement, um, rather than teaching you how to read a commercial because there are plenty of people that know how to do that and know how to do that well. But these sort of deeper issues, more complex issues that go along with a career in voiceover, those are the things I think we don't necessarily pay enough attention to. So I'm glad to be able to address it today. And the first thing I want to say about it is that whenever I hear someone say it, it always breaks my heart. I mean, it genuinely breaks my heart, um, because, um, at the core of my belief is that we have value, and so when I hear people talk about, questioning that about themselves, right? Uh, that just kind of tears at me a little bit. So, hi Stacy, hi Jeff. Glad you're here. Thank you for commenting. Um, so, so it's a big issue. It's a big topic, right? And I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a doctor, though I've played one on TV. Um, and so I'm only qualified to address it really, because I have dealt with it myself. Um, and interestingly enough, I haven't really dealt with it, on an ongoing basis with regard to voiceover, but in other areas of my creative life, I definitely have, with regard to writing and singing, music in particular. Oh my God, like that. Whew, that's a big one. So I definitely know and understand it. And so the things I'm just going to talk about today, and I hope I don't go too long, the things I want to talk about today are really just based on my own experience, my own lifelong contention with with self doubt. Um, so, um, so first things first, right? Let's define it. What is what's imposter syndrome? What is self doubt, right? So imposter syndrome is defined as a collection of feelings, not facts, feelings of inadequacy that persist despite evidence to the contrary, despite evidence of success, right? Imposter syndrome is defined as a collection of feelings of inadequacy that persist despite evident success. Imposters suffer from chronic self doubt and a sense of intellectual fraudulence that override any feelings of success or external proof of their competence, right? So, wow. The first thing that jumps out at me in that definition is that imposter syndrome is a lie. It's a lie. They're feelings that persist despite evidence, evidence, proof, right? So that's number one, right? Let's see, I want to say hi to Joanne and Gina. Hello, glad you're here. So we all experience these feelings of not being good enough, of that we're going to be found out, that we really don't have what it takes, right? So what's at the root of it? What's at the root of imposter syndrome? So I'm going to take a guess, again, based on my own experience. I'm going to take a guess and say that it's fear. Fear of what, you ask? Well, fear of not being good enough, right? Fear that we'll never book. I mean, as regards voiceover, right? Fear that our agents will drop us. Fear that we'll never get an agent. Fear that we're not worthy of an agent. Fear that our clients will leave us if we manage to, get some clients, right? Fear that we're not worthy. Well, not worthy of what? What aren't we worthy of? So I'm gonna go deep on this one and say that underneath all of this sort of self-doubt in voiceover it's really something much deeper, and that is the fear that we're not lovable. Yeah, fear that we're not lovable. So I know that sounds pretty heavy for a Facebook Live in a voiceover coaching group, but here's the bottom line about us, about artists, about creative people. When we do our work, we are putting ourselves on the line. We're putting ourselves out into the world, and we are asking to be judged and found worthy. Wow, so how could we not tend toward thinking we're not good enough if 99 out of 100 things that we read for we don't book? It makes perfect sense that we would start to ask ourselves the question, wow, do I just not have it? Am I just not good enough? Right? It's really about that really deep, deep fear that we're alone and that we're not worth loving. I really think that's the core of it. And that is why the remedy, which we're going to talk about, the remedy for self-doubt and imposter syndrome isn't found in voiceover classes. It's not found in one more commercial workshop. It's not found in learning how to market. Those things are all necessary to a career, obviously, but the remedy to imposter syndrome doesn't live there. So where does the remedy live? Where is the remedy? And the first thing I want to say about it is that the pursuit of the remedy is lifelong and ongoing, right? It's lifelong and ongoing. There is no quick fix for it, right? It's we have to be diligent and persistent in remedying the problem. And I just want to bring to your attention 3 things that I think will help along the way, right? Number 1 is self-care. You got to do nice things for yourself. Don't we do nice things for people that we love? So you got to do nice things for yourself. Like you have to eat well, and you have to move your body, and you have to get rest. You have to get sleep. Sleep is restorative. Sleep is where everything comes together. Sleep is like, it lets you start new every day if you're rested. If you're not, you can't catch up. You can't, it's like being on a treadmill backwards. It's like you can't make any progress unless you are well rested. So self-care, eat well, move your body, get rest, prioritize it, prioritize your health. Number 2, find a posse of friends who know you, who love you, and with whom you can find affirmation, not for what you do, but for who you are. All the unique and beautiful things about who you are, right? It's so important to be able to work these things out with our friends and our family, so that when we have a crappy day, or we're not booking, we're not, things aren't going our way, we can sort of, we know that we can come home to a group of people, or even if it's online, right? Or a family that reminds you of who you are and how valuable you are, right? Then the third thing is that I think it's really important to cultivate a spiritual life, something outside of yourself, something that's eternal, that doesn't change, that doesn't sort of tip over, in the winds of change, and whatever that is to you, that's up to you to define, right? But something that is outside of yourself, again, right? Because you need to pray, or you need to meditate, you need to connect with your creator, or whatever that means to you, because it's there that you find that you have intrinsic value that cannot be taken away. You are an original of the species. There is nobody like you. There's nobody like you. There's nobody with your gifts. There's nobody who can do what you do. You are loved. You are deeply loved. And nothing can make that untrue. Nothing can separate you from that truth. Nothing. So I know that's like a lot for a Facebook Live, but it's the truth, right? Again, pursuit of the remedy of imposter syndrome is lifelong and ongoing. And I'm going to say the three things again: self-care, do nice things for yourself, prioritize your health, find a posse of friends, family, co-workers, comrades in Voiceover who know you and who love you and who can affirm you for who you are. Cultivate a spiritual life, whatever that means to you, something bigger than yourself. Again, because it's there that you will find and come to understand your intrinsic value, and that you are deeply loved, eternally loved. So this has been my lifelong pursuit, and it's been an ongoing thing right alongside, this voiceover career of mine, right? And, lest you think that I haven't experienced, all the things that we're afraid of, that cause us to have this sense of self-doubt. I have been dropped by agents. I have been let go from jobs. I have had contracts that don't renew because of my failure, right? Because of my, what do I want to say? Kind of like my ineptitude. It seems that my own imposter syndrome, my own sense of self-doubt, comes in the realm of affiliate promo work. Affiliate promo work is sort of a different style, it's a different genre within the genre of promo, right? So it's actually news promo, right? And these are contracted jobs. You're contracted for a year, and you rarely work with a producer on the line. They send you the copy. You got to get it back to them fast because it's going on air. It's in some cases it's going on air in 30 minutes, right? So affiliate work is not work of perfection. It's the work of getting it done, and getting it done fast, right? And so just to give you an example, I had a large market CBS affiliate, and I was their third voice, their tertiary voice, right? They had two men and then me. And so mostly I didn't work because the two men carried the station, but they were both on vacation for a period of time. And so that then it fell to me, all the nightly news stuff. And it was kind of new to me, like, oh, what's the turnaround here, right? And I got sent copy that was too long. Like I got 20-second pieces of copy that were, you know, 30 seconds of time. Like I couldn't read it fast enough. I couldn't get it done. I couldn't do it. Right. And so I kept editing and trying to go faster and trying to take out breaths. And it was kind of a nightmare. And I ended up turning in the sound file 10 minutes late. And you can't turn in a sound file 10 minutes late. You can't do it. And so while the spots still made it to air, I was in a panic about it, and what did I do? I turned to my posse. I called Tom Pinto, who does a lot of affiliate work. And I said, I did this wrong. I don't know. I can't figure it out. I couldn't read the copy fast enough. So what do I do? And he said, you got to cut the copy. Well, I didn't know that, right? So there was my lesson learned, right? I learned it by going to the people who know and love me, who know my intentions, who know what I'm capable of. And I can say to them, I messed up, help me, right? And so Tom was able to say to me, here's what you do next time if that happens. And don't worry about it. Okay, Bess, I know you. I know you can do this. Everybody has a day like this, right? So, the end of that story was that contract didn't get renewed, right? But I learned something from it. And, 4 months ago, I booked an even bigger affiliate, and I carried that knowledge with me, right? And I feel a little less like an imposter with the affiliate that I'm currently contracted for, right? So it's ongoing, it's constant, it's perpetual. Another story I want to share with you, and then I will let you go. And I want to say hi, Michelle, and hi, John, and hi, Yvonne. So I want to tell you a little bit about an example of some self-care. So I had a commercial job a couple months ago, I want to say, for two 60-second TV spots and 2 30s, right? So they booked 3.5 hours. That's a lot of time to do that, where mostly the spots they're mostly the same, but they have slight changes and stuff. So, I mean, that's really something that could be done in 90 minutes. Anyway, so here I am doing the spot and the spots, and the writer is in the room on Zoom, and he's directing me in all kinds of crazy directions. We started with what I auditioned with, and then he went in a million different directions, and I gave him everything he asked for, right? But at the end of 3.5 hours, there wasn't one spot that was completed, not one. And my experience of that session was, I gave them everything. I gave them everything they asked for. I was confident in that. I knew what I did. I knew what I was capable of doing. I gave them everything they asked for, and I did it well. So when they got to the end of 3.5 hours and still couldn't figure out what they wanted, they asked me, do I have any more time? And I said, no, I don't. I had an appointment that I had to get to. And so they called my agent and to try to arrange for some time later in the afternoon, which we did. We got them another hour, right? But let me tell you, after 3.5 hours, what my appointment was. I had a yoga class, and I was unwilling to give it up because of the incompetence of the producer and the writer, and they were incompetent, right? That's a ballsy thing for me to say, but it's true. They had no idea what they wanted, and they spent 3.5 hours trying to figure it out, and that's not a great use of time, and I'm not responsible for that. They are, right? So later in the day, got them another hour. We finished all the spots. The writer was gone. Somebody else was now directing the session, right? So we got everything done. And then 2 weeks later, I got a message from my agent saying, so they just went in a completely different direction, and they hired a man to do the job. And you know what my response was? Fantastic. Good for them. I'm done. Right? I don't want them as a client. Right? It was, I knew what I brought to it. And I knew that the issue was on their end, right? But more importantly, I was unwilling to give up my self-care, right? It's like the only 90 minutes I get sometimes, maybe once a week, right? And I was unwilling to give it up, right? So that's how important self-care is, I think, right? I'm trying to think if there are any other examples of, well, I want to say, you know, I years ago, I was dropped by the very agent that I'm now represented by. I survived it, right? It was brutal and it was tough, but I had surrounded myself with friends in the business and outside of the business who knew my value and knew my worth and were able to help me through what was really kind of a dark time. Like I lost half my business, right? But I'm still standing, right? All these years later. And, you know, interestingly enough, I'm back with the agency that dropped me, and I have a better relationship with them than ever, right? So I'll let you go. I'll wrap this up. It's 22 after the hour, but I just want to reiterate a couple of things, okay? Self-care, finding and being amongst a posse of friends and family who know you, know who you are, cultivating a spiritual life, meditation, prayer, connecting with a higher power, something outside of yourself, however you define that, to come to understand that you have intrinsic value. Again, you know, in the words of U2, you're an original of the species and you're loved. You are deeply loved, and nothing can make that untrue. Feel free to send me a message. I look forward to interacting with you on the coaching page. And of course, if you ever want to, you know, check in with me on a DM, I would love to hear from you. So I hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday and a great rest of the week. And I see you. I see you, and you have value, and you're loved. All right. Mwah. Take care.